So huge expectations riding on the Modi visit, but what can people likely expect will emerge from this meeting? I want to go across first to Himanshu Shukla, educational technology entrepreneur. Is this visit now reaching a point where the hype is so much that the actual delivery may not match the level of expectations that are being built, Mr. Shukla?
I would actually take a step back and say that I think that might have been the case in India, but I've been really impressed by the fact that there haven't been so many major announcements in India on the economic side, because I think it's very clear that Mr. Modi is an extremely cautious and very substantive man who is looking to create the foundations of sustained growth and not simply give out policy pronouncements and then move on to the next.
So what is it that you as an investor would like to see Prime Minister Modi do during his visit to the US?
Well, first and foremost, we would like to see him expand out his invitation to not just the Boeings, GMs and Microsofts of the world, but to the mid-sized entrepreneurial community, of which Indian Americans in particular have a really very significant presence. We would like to see programs, we would like to see some kind of support so that we can navigate the bureaucracy and the regulatory frameworks in India in a way that we can invest in India aggressively.
Zafar Zareshwala, you were this morning at a big meeting with American institutional investors. What are their key concerns building up to Prime Minister Modi's visit over here? What is it that they'd like to see Prime Minister Modi change so that they can come and invest their dollars in India?
See, primarily, a lot of questions were particularly on the corruption issue, the kind of scams. I mean, people know about, the kind of scams which have happened in last 10 years, be the 2Gs, CWG, coal, so many scams, the involvement of ministers, bureaucrats. I mean, these were typically the questions people wanted to know. And what is Mr. Modi's stand to it? And I replied that, look, it's not that Mr. Modi has some magic wand that in just, a year, he'll be finishing total corruption from India, that India will be a corrupt-free country. But I said, for any country or any system to remove corruption, we need to have the gentleman or the person who's at the helm of the affairs, the Prime Minister in our case. He needs to have two qualities. First, he needs to be absolutely corrupt-free himself. He should have zero tolerance towards corruption, and he does not allow any people corrupt around him. And these two qualities are with Mr. Modi. I said that we had an axiom in Gujarat that Mr. Modi used to say, "Na main khata hu, na main khane deta hu." Neither I eat nor I'll let anybody do that. So at least in that context, you should rest assured that we have somebody at the helm of the affair who will not tolerate any form of corruption. Not only corruption in terms of money and all that, in terms of corruption in appointments, nepotism. I mean, these are the things which we had essentially in last so many years. So at least to that context, we can be assured with Mr. Modi. Now, coming back to what earlier you asked, it's not about hype. Actually, with Mr. Modi's this visit, we are going to build new bridges with United States. And first, initially, you need to know each other. Mr. Modi is coming here. The kind of interest I could see, there were more than 425 plus institutional investors they were there. So this is kind of, response which the international community has towards Modi, towards India. And I think when he comes here, and as you said that he'll have 35 meetings, and Mr. Modi has that power of convincing, at least you have one good person at the top.
But you're saying that Modi is not dishonest, neither was Manmohan Singh. And I get a sense by speaking to several American investors, Bharat Ramani, that people actually don't want to get carried away by the Modi hype. They want to see first in America actual change on the ground. They want to see Modi making it easier for American businesses to do investment in India. Only then will the dollars start flowing in. What is it that you've picked up by speaking to American investors?
The most important thing I feel is people are looking at ease of doing business. So we are looking for that, the implementation of red carpet and not red tape. if that can be implemented, I think that will be a tremendous change for the US-India relationship, because we are both both democratic countries, and we are looking forward how the Indians living here can invest into India, because there is so much opportunity and possibility of US-India working together. Specifically, what innovation which is happening in US, the task is how can we take this innovation from US to India, which can further accelerate the growth of what we are going through. That is what we want. We want ease of doing business. That is the most important thing. And
How
we
would
want,
you sense American investors and Indian Americans view the work that the Modi government has done so far? Because he hasn't made any major policy announcements. It's not as if several new sectors have been opened up for investment. The work, if at all, has been very incremental, very gradual.
I think we should give Mr. Modi some time, because the issue is to understand such a big country, the complexities of India. It is going to take time. So from moving from a state to handling a country, I think it is very important that we give enough time to Mr. Modi to and all of us are feeling that there is a true leader now after 30 years in India, and that is a big change for us, and our expectations are high, and I'm sure he will fulfill it.
Okay, let's come specifically to some of the sectors that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will want to see investment come in. One, of course, you said regulatory hassles. What are the other things that you would like to see Prime Minister Modi talk about? Because he's not coming with a big Indian delegation of CEOs like he took with him to Japan. In the United States, the CEO's delegation, which was earlier supposed to accompany him, is no longer coming with him. Is that a bit of a downer? Is that a bit of a dampener? From
I
your
don't think
perspective?
from the Indian American community's point of view that we're particularly concerned one way or the other with regard to that. I think what we want to do and what we would like to see is really an opening of doors over there with regard to the regulatory thing. The Department of Science and Technology has put together a very interesting program called the Platinum Key Program. That is where public-private partnerships and incubators have been set up around the country, and where these incubators are mentoring companies like Indian American companies that are looking to kind of set up operations over there to handle the regulatory environment. If programs like that can be supported more extensively, if they can be incorporated into the elements where, as Mr. Ramani was saying, that India goes not just from an investment economy but an innovation economy, and that's something that we as an Indian American community can very much participate with.
Mr. Ramani, several people have said that Modi's picked possibly the worst time to make his first trip to the United States, because here in New York, the UNGA is taking place at this time. Attention is split. President Obama coming towards the end of his presidency, entering what's called the lame duck phase. There are big elections scheduled in about a month from now. American congressmen, senators, very busy with their own re-election prospects. Therefore, while there's a lot of excitement in India, is America's attention split and divided?
Yes and no. I think they are really looking forward, because it has been the administration has given so much of importance to Modi that he is going to spend 2 days in Washington. He is going to be very close to President Obama's place. He will be in the guest house, where very few people have been given this. So I think enough importance has been given. So I think we are all looking forward to this visit, and we are hopeful that it is going to change the US-India relationship.
No, but the reality, Zafar Sareshwala, is that American Congress is busy at this time. There was earlier a joint session that was being planned. That is ultimately not happening any longer. So the reality of the UNGA in New York just essentially means that there's so many world leaders here that Modi will not have the kind of bandwidth, the kind of attention he would have had if he'd come on a solo trip to the US when other leaders were not competing for attention.
See, Rahul, I don't think any time is good or bad. I mean, this was the best time because Modi has just ascended the prime ministership. It's only 100 days. And he started with, after Japan, China, US is the superpower. And it's not about individuals, actually. It is actually India and United States. So Mr. Modi is the prime minister. Mr. Obama is the president. Maybe Obama may be there tomorrow or he may not be there. But the essence is to build relationship with the administration. And that administration always continues. So I think it's a good beginning in that sense. So I don't think any time is good or bad for visiting any country. And maybe it is good in the sense that in the bilateral, so many other meetings also can take place when Mr. Modi is here.
No, why?
And most important, see, he's, as you said earlier, he's giving lot of importance to large American corporations, which he's meeting them personally.
No, but there's
11
a
or
big
12 of
difference
them.
there, Zafar Sarishwala. Unlike, say, Shinzo Abe or Xi Jinping, who themselves can commit to $35 billion or $20 billion of investment, over here, the American president doesn't matter as much as each of these CEOs and their boards individually. So Prime Minister Modi in the US is essentially in a salesman avatar. He has to reach out to each of these companies and convince them to come make in India.
No, that is Mr. Modi's axiom right from the beginning. In fact, he used to say earlier on that all our embassies could be the best salesmen for the country. So he's doing the best job. And you are right, in America, the president doesn't mean anything. It is these multi-billion-dollar enterprises. So he's essentially devoting most of his time to meeting them. And in fact, in the sidelines today when we met, there are 450 odd, 425 odd institutional investors. Mr. Modi is meeting some 10, 11 top CEOs. Then there is also meeting with another 300. So this is the right way in America to bring directly the companies, convince them.
No, but what's the sense, Himanshu Shukla, amongst these big CEOs who run the multi-billion-dollar companies about investing in India? Several of them got entangled in regulatory hassles, permissions being given, then taken back. We saw what happened with coal blocks, where the Supreme Court has stepped in to cancel all coal block allocations. Now that really freaks all American companies out. They want consistency, and they're concerned that while today things might be seeming to be good and coming back into order, tomorrow they may or may not be the same.
I think this is a concern, and it's a major concern. And one of the elements that the Modi administration is going to have to do, and I think they are moving in that direction, is have extremely well thought through policies and programs that are in place, that are going to be which are going to have a long-term commitment, and a commitment both at the state levels as well as at the central levels. Because at the end of the day, you're investing into a state, into into some place in India, so you're going to need that as well. And they need to do that. There is no gainsaying when the Supreme Court goes back and makes pronouncements of disallowing all allocations going back 20, 30 years. Any business looking at this saying, my God, what happens?
And that, Zafar Sarishwala, is not Modi's fault, but it's something that Modi needs to deal with.
Yeah, that's why, when people talk of 100 days, 75 days, I feel that at least Mr. Modi will need 1 year just to understand what wrong has happened. Unless and until Modi and his administration doesn't know what flaws have happened. So we need to give a lot of time to him. But for me, the most important thing is Modi's intent. If you have purity of intent, then everything else will follow in place. So that's what I feel.
His intent is pure, but they want to see investment. They want to see action before the investment.
I think what they will want to see is extremely well thought through policies and programs that people can invest into. There's going to be hundreds of billions of dollars of public-private partnership monies that are going to have to come in. But is the legal environment in place for that? I don't think so. In certain sectors, it certainly isn't in place, like in the water infrastructure space. Is the legal structure in place with regard to land, consolidating land? It clearly is not. I mean, those issues are going to have to be dealt with before you're going to see massive inflows from the big players. Where I think there is a very different environment where he can attract is really not the big institutional investors, but really the hundreds and in fact thousands of entrepreneurs who are excited about the opportunity that India gives and who have some familiarity with India and are willing to take that chance because they will come in. What they need is different. So there's really a parallel set of economic policies that are going to be required. One for what I would call the investment economy, for the infrastructure that has to be built through, but another one for the innovation economy, which also is going to have to be, India is going to have to move to if it's going to move forward.
Absolutely. While we've seen on the one hand that Indian Americans are very excited about the fact that Prime Minister Modi is coming here and he frankly enjoys rock star-like popularity amongst the Indian Americans, the moment you shift your attention and start speaking to American investors, especially those who are not just bringing FII investment into India, but FDI investment into India, they're far more keen on first seeing visible change before they dive back into the India story once more. For the time being, to all our three guests, Mr. Shukla, Sareshwala and Mr. Romani, for joining us here at our special studios right above Times Square. This is where, in fact, three big screens will be set up right behind us, where when Prime Minister Modi will speak at Madison Square Garden, thousands of Indians will be able to view his speech. It will be a big moment for the Indian American community, their coming out party. So all those atmospherics will of course be in place, but the key thing also to remain focused on is to see what emerges in a concrete, tangible fashion from this high voltage visit. And we'll be here in New York and Washington DC getting you all the latest. For the time being, to our three guests for joining us, thank you very much.